Hey everyone, Christy here from Crafted by Christy. We're working on the non-vintage bright journal today, and I started with the small one, but decided for this I wanted to make it bigger. So I went ahead and got a bigger piece of cardboard, lined it with the same fabric, and then I made a little cluster. And I think because we have a wider bind, I'm going to put 2 signatures in it. So what I did was I went ahead and done the first signature, and I thought maybe on this part of the, putting this journal together, we could put the second signature together and I could show you how I'd done the first one. But I'll go ahead and tell you, I have been doing a lot of sewing on this. Like on the cover, I used red and orange. You can see it on the inside where I kind of squiggled. And then I put another piece of our master board the opposite way to secure the spine, make it a little stronger. Just flipped it the opposite way and sewed that in, glued it and sewed it. So that'll give us a good strong spine. And then I've just pulled some things that I plan on using, hopefully somewhere in here. Some reds and orange, yellows. Got some orange ribbon here, different kinds. I think this is like bubblegum ribbon is what I think of it as. But anyway, those are just some things we're going to use. But on this session of it, I want us to go ahead and do the second signature. And so I have pulled all the papers just like the first one for us to put this together. So my first piece, of course, is the vellum. And before I did this, I made a masterboard. Kind of like a master, I don't know what you'd call this. It's where I would know what size to make my pieces. Master signature, I guess, would you call it that? Make sure this is going to go, because there we go, yeah. First piece we have is just vellum. I'm thinking about maybe embossing this vellum. I don't have an embossing machine, but I do have the plates. And what I do is I spray the vellum, put it inside the plate, and then roll over it, and it embosses it. I'm thinking I might do that with this vellum since it's just clear. I made it clear so that you could see the pretty colors on the inside. So second sheet is a piece of this embossed packing paper. And I printed out a free printable from Emma Parrish. You should check her out on Facebook. She has all kinds of freebies and all designs. She has an Etsy store too. Lots of good things there. But anyway, these two were freebies. So I just tore out pieces from each sheet. One of them is the flower and one of them's the watercolor, and sewed it to this embossed sheet. So let's tear out a couple of pieces. I think I'll do it opposite of this. Since I did the watercolor on the first signature, I think I'll do the flower first on the second one. And then I just inked around it. Tore that the wrong way, because now I have do it this way where I have the white side so I can ink it. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I kind of cleaned up my area where I could have more table space to actually work. Moved my printer off. So that ought to be good right there. Doing it the wrong way. I want to do it towards myself so that I get the white edge and I can ink it. But I'm doing it opposite of what I should be. I did tea dye a whole bunch of papers. They turned out so good. And the stencil that we used for the one masterboard, the big flower stencil, about this big, just for fun, I put it on one of them just to see if it would work on one of the tea dyes. Oh, it turned out so pretty because it still had some ink on it from making that masterboard. Had some reds, and I guess just through the times it's had some kind of gold maybe. Anyway, when I got it wet, of course, those were all water-based. They kind of bled onto the tea dye, and oh, it looks so pretty. I will have to show you all my tea dye and experiments. I also did some, I said I wasn't going to dye any papers for this journal, but I did do the streamer dyeing, and the streamers by themselves really didn't turn out that great. They didn't have a lot of color, so I threw in some food coloring with it, and I don't know if you can tell it very good, but I did yellow. I think this one might have been the orange, but it looks kind of pink. And then I also did some pink. And then I kept some of the streamers that were dried. Maybe we'll put them on some collages too. Okay, so this one I'll have to sew. Put that aside till we get ready to sew that. And then I used a piece of scrapbook paper and folded it up to make pockets. Let's see. I do need my template. It's a template. That's the word I was looking for. And I'm going to pull it up just a little bit. A little bit short of the template. And I ended up having to cut some of the side off because it was a little too wide. And I used those pieces that I cut off to make paper ruffles. See if I can find one to show you. Just made little paper ruffles out of it. Used two different kinds of thread. I thought it looked pretty. So, see how short I need this. I normally sew these pockets shut, and I haven't done that yet because I haven't decided how I was going to embellish the pockets. If I put something else that needed to be sewn, I want to sew it before I sew them shut. I was thinking about maybe putting some phrases in here, quotes or something. So I'm not going to sew that yet. I am going to keep these, and I'll probably make ruffles out of them as well. And if you don't know how to make paper ruffles, you can do it without a sewing machine. You just fold it like this and glue it. But if you have a sewing machine and want to see a tutorial, go to Treasure Books. She has a really good tutorial where she's actually sewing it to show you how to do it. That's how I learned how to do it. So what's our next sheet? Oh, it's a colored paper. So let's pick, I think I'm going to pick one of these that looks kind of orange. I like this one, but I'd have to cut off quite a bit of it. That'd make it kind of short. Look for a different one. Let's just use this one. Oh, it's got writing on it too. I use a lot of papers that are actually junk that were meant to be thrown away, because one end or the other has some writing on it, but it's just usually a tiny bit, so I go ahead and dye them and then just trim that part off, and they make really good inserts. No sense wasting a whole page just for one little line that's at the bottom and the top. My trimmer's not working the best right now. Alright, our next page looks like a catalog sheet that yep. So it is the other half of this that is sewn to a dyed sheet of paper, and I just folded over the edge of it. I had this piece picked out for it. And see that bottom having writing on it, I can trim it off, or I could actually leave it since I'm gonna sew it next to it, but I think I'll go ahead and trim it off because it's torn a little bit at the bottom anyway. And I don't want my sewing to make it tear anymore. See how much of this I need to put in. Oh, I folded it. That's right. I folded it, so I guess I can use however much I want to. Because then I'll just make that size of a flap. Did I make this straight? Yes, so I need to make this edge straight too. Well, that's not straight, but yeah. I was going for the right concept, just not. I can't even cut straight with a paper cutter. How about that? Alright. So I will sew this. I might as well go ahead and glue it. I just use a glue stick because I know it's not gonna, I don't expect it to hold. I just want it to hold long enough for me to get to the sewing machine. That. I can't glue straight either. Did you see that? Alright. And I think I'm going to go ahead and glue these two pieces where they hang on until I get to the sewing machine as well. Then on this next sheet, oh, I need to get another piece of this scrapbook paper, so I will do that too. Then I just put another dyed piece. Here's a piece of yellow, but it's kind of broken up on the edges. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to use that one. I think I'll save it to maybe back some things or some tags or something maybe. Alright, I'm going to use this one and cut this edge off. Got a yellow piece here. Probably keep this strip at least until the end of the project. Next sheet, I took this one. It's a digital. And how did I do that one? So one full side of it is, and then I folded it at the crease. So we'll do it like that. That'll work. And then I just cut off the bottom so that it would fit in the signature, and it looks like I need to go about right there. This doesn't have to be exact. Oops. And that's good because I'm not getting it exact. Can't even get it lined up to the top and bottom. There we go. And I'll sew this one as well. Then the next page was just a card, and I picked out this one. It's similar to the little... It's not similar at all, actually, is it? One's a flower and one's a little girl and boy. Not even close. Okay. Another piece of color dyed. I had yellow last time, so let's do pink. Oh, here's some of those little streamers. I got a little bit of black from one of the papers. It bled onto it, but I'm going to use it anyway. I think it looks good. So then I have just this sheet. It says enjoy the little things. It's just lined paper, but it's already attached, so I don't have to do anything to it. And I had a colored sheet that I sewed the pieces together. I had to bind them together because they fell apart in the dyeing process. And this one got kind of chewed up, so I'm going to cut it down and then glue it to this piece of paper, and I'll sew it. It doesn't really matter if it's not wide enough, or it'll still look good. I'll just do a little bitty piece of the side. I won't glue it on there very much, and we'll just sew it. And then we'll have more colored in the middle. And that's okay. Okay, so now I have this piece, and on this piece, I have a little fold out on the other side, so, and it's torn on top and bottom, so that's good. Sewing on that one. And another piece of colored paper. What do we got so far? Lots of pink. We need a yellow, don't we? You can see that there's some pink and yellows in some of the sheets. I think they ran on each other. And then I have one of these small, it's just dotted paper. So I folded it, instead of it being vertical, I did it horizontal. I'll make it a small sheet, because then I put two of these together and made them small. This was a free digital from Seven Plaza, maybe? Seven Plaza. That's a good one to check out too. She has lots of cool stuff. Hers is on Ko-Fi instead of Etsy. Ko-Fi. Look at that. Not able to get stuff lined up tonight, that's for sure. And then I think we're to the middle. Yep. And it's just a planner page. It doesn't have any dates or anything on it, so I thought it'd be good to, it's good writing space if you don't want to write things in the week. See how many sheets we have total. So 16 sheets in each signature. I think 16 is probably enough. We'll see, because I know I won't have quitting sense, and I'll make it pretty thick after I do the embellishments and ephemera and pockets, so I think we'll just stop with 16. So I'm going to go and sew these things and come back and we'll have our second signature put together. There's another piece of color dyed. That's a pretty one too. Ooh, that's a pretty one. But the edges are kind of torn. Alright, so I'm going to go sew these up, and then I will be back and we'll work on, depending on how much time we have, we might sew in our signatures, or we might work on some of the ephemera, because I made some ephemera pieces where I just cut out pretty pictures and sewed them to some cardstock. And I don't know why I'm liking these fringy pieces on the sewing. I'm liking leaving those long. And I also like to use a couple different colors of thread and do funky stitches. I think that looks neat. And then another, I'll probably make some more of these ruffled edges out of these. And this is the paper that we collaged the napkin that had the flip-flops onto the umbrella sheet. And I was going to sew it to the side of one of the papers, but then I about decided I'm going to do a over-the-top writing space. So we'll figure out if that's really what we're going to do, or we might make little notebooks out of them. I don't know. I haven't really decided on that one yet. And then a couple of I'm going to make some of these glassine bags. I didn't have any that were colored, so I just made some. They were white, so I just stamped on one with the normal big stamper, ink dauber, whatever you call it. And then on the little dots, I used a stencil and just used different colors. And then I made some just fun pieces that we're going to tuck in our journal that I like the sound. I'm a sound person. Here's another one. Packing paper, a little bit of the masterboard we made, some ribbon, and one of the stamped pieces. This one doesn't make as much noise because I didn't have as big a packing paper behind it. Another good thing that you could use would be parchment paper behind it. If you really like sound, would give it a good sound. And then I just took some pieces of fabric, little piece of lace and sewed all different colors. And I left the ends fringy. And then from sewing all these, I had all these bits that, so I sewed them on there too. I just made it look kind of crazy. This one has a couple pieces of fabric and some lace and more of the thread that I had left. But something we might do with it, I was looking at this different kinds of ribbons. Maybe put some rickrack in the middle of one of them. That would look cute. Or that looks like, ooh, this is kind of cool. This will make a good one. That's kind of a felt with dots on it. That'd look neat, wouldn't it? Put it on our glassine bags. And then I have some of these colors that maybe we could do something with those too. Make some more of these. Either we can sew them to the edge of our pages, or tops. I really think, or maybe sew them to like these foldovers that we're going to do. That would look good, wouldn't it? Give these color pages some some color. All right, well, I'm going to go do my sewing. And then we'll come back and finish up our second signature. Okay, so I have finished the second signature. All the same sewing as on the first signature. I said that I was going to sew in my signatures next, but that's not correct. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to actually decorate them first, so that if I decide to sew on these across the top, you know, I can't really do that once it's sewn in. So I'm gonna decorate first. I don't know why I thought I was gonna go ahead and sew in the signatures, but the reason this one doesn't have a piece of vellum on it was I got the bright idea that I was gonna emboss the vellum, which I think I had mentioned, but I went ahead and tried it. So I embossed the vellum, and when I was embossing it, I decided I was trying to find the embossing plate. When I was doing it, I decided to take some of the ink, like this, the distress ink that is water-based, so that when it gets wet, it goes everywhere. So I just took it and pushed it down on this plate. Then I sprayed it. Then I put my piece of vellum in here. And I had to, you know, do it twice because it's not, the vellum is actually bigger than my plate. So I put the vellum in here, like so, and I rubbed it really hard with my bone folder, and I also used a rolling pin. I think the bone folder actually worked better because I was pressing harder on it. And so it colored it and embossed it at the same time. I put it underneath something heavy over here, and I'm going to grab it so that we can see. I can show you what it looks like real quick. I don't know why it really bothered me that it was just plain white. I thought it needed some color, so I did that, and I really like how it turned out. I wish I had an embossing machine. It would look a lot better, but you can still see the design in it. It turned out really well. So now I'm not sure if I want to use a whole sheet like this, or if I want to cut this one sheet to put on each one, which is what I think I'm going to do. I don't think I'm going to use, I think I'm going to cut it and make this one for each side. One on this one, and one on this one. I think I like that. And I think this one is going to be my front cover. And then I'll have the other one like this. And they'll go in the signature like this. Or in the... I think that looks okay. Don't you? To be the first page. Yeah. Okay. So, for the decorating, I already started a little bit. I'm not big on laminating. Not a fan. But for the book plate, which book plate is as we stuff it full of things, and we might put pieces in it that make it rough. The sewing can tend to make writing rough. So this book plate, what it does is wherever you're going to write, put your book plate behind the page, and it gives you a nice smooth place to write. So I laminated it because I did a lot of sewing on it just to make it look good. It says, "Every day is an adventure. Be you, the world will adjust." I thought that was cute. These are some stamps I found at Hobby Lobby today. They were on sale. And then the back of it, I just put some little dried flowers. These are actually dried flowers. These two are stickers. This piece of paper that I glued and sewed to the back of this was in my Happy Mail. And this picture came out of a book. So it has different things from different places on it, but I think it turned out pretty good. So I'm going to trim this down, and I'm going to put a dangle from it, I think. Some beads. I went to a city yard sale. I got this necklace for $1, and it had all these bright colors in it. I thought maybe I would string some of these, put them on a bulb pin, and hang it from this. I'm going to trim it down first. I do not have very much luck with laminating things every time, and I try to make sure I don't cut it inside of where that, well, you can't see it very good, but inside of where it's sealed so that it doesn't come undone. And maybe it's just my laminating machine. Maybe it's just not very good, but I don't have much luck with it. I went to a secondhand shop today and found these. I think they were 50 cents, 60 cents, something. And they have, it's a book full of stickers, like quilting stickers, which I thought would be, because they're colorful, what might be need to put in some of the pockets. And then also in the same package was bookmarks, which I didn't even know this was in the package. I bought it because I thought it was just the bookmarks. But there's different ones, and it was stapled in so I could undo them and not tear anything. But they're really pretty and bright. So I laminated a couple of those. I did two because I didn't want to waste my laminating paper, but I'm only going to use one, of course. But on the top of it, I'm going to put a little rose. I have some red resin roses, which, you know, your bookmark will stick out the top. So even though it's got some bulk to it, it won't matter because it should be out the top of your book. But that was my plan with doing these. While I had the laminator out, I decided to go ahead and make a couple of bookmarks. Really small hole on this. I don't know what size this is, but it's very, the little thing is really tiny. So I'm just going to do it barely on the edge here, inside the seal. And then I'm going to put some of these little things on it. Ooh, come back here, buddy. How's that? Now I'm going to make a pocket for it in the front of the book. Now I just need to decide if I want to make the pocket out of lace or material. Well, as you can tell, I decided to do kind of lace. I think it's trim, kind of sparkly trim and material. And then I just put a real small embellishment. I think this is a tiny crocheted doily type thing with some of the eyelash trim and an enamel dot. I did that for both sides. So I think I'm going to wrap that up for today. And when we come back, we'll decorate our signatures and probably sew them in, depending on how long it takes to decorate them. But anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope you liked this. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I will see you soon. Bye.